Welcome to the September 4th, 2024 edition of the Urban League Jobs Network Digital Career Success Series, brought to you by the National Urban League. I'm your host, Kenneth L. Johnson, president of the Harlem, New York-based diversity recruitment firm East Coast Executives. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. The Digital Career Success Series, DCSS, is a professional development series that helps members of our Urban League Young Professionals chapters and other diverse job seekers develop new skill sets that will enhance their careers through digital platforms such as webinars, Facebook, and Instagram Live. The goal is to provide an opportunity for professional development right from one's computer. If you want more, visit nuljobsnetwork.com. Today's Digital Career Success Series marks the end of our quasi-summer break. We were at the National Urban League Conference, took a little break. We did some great sessions there. One of them was AI focused. So we decided to bring it back with AI in the workplace. What's at stake? Featuring StephShabazz. Stephanie, welcome to the Digital Career Success Series.
Thank you so much, Kenneth. I so appreciate you and the team bringing me here to have this conversation.
Listen, bringing you here, happy to have you here, all of the above. Listen, I'm super excited. I know you're a trendsetter in the space. I know you're a professional speaker. I'm going to let you go through your bio for the audience. Tell them a little bit about yourself.
Sounds great. Well, one, I want to start with a huge thank you to you, Kenneth, Corey, all of the leaders here at National Urban League. A little bit about me. I actually started at the National Urban League. Our local chapter in college got me started, gave me a lot of great insight when it came to career development and really kind of helped to encourage that natural curiosity that I had. So just wanted to give a huge thank you to everyone for creating that space to have the conversation. So a little bit about me. I like to tell folks that I am an ongoing learner. And so actually didn't start in the AI field. I started in talent acquisition and then moved over to product management. And I just kept seeing so much pop up in the news and in information around AI being where opportunities lie. And so what I did is what I'm encouraging folks to do today as we go into the conversation is to learn and to lean in, ask questions, stay curious. And what that did is it allowed me to be able to actually position myself as one of our AI adoption leaders. And so now I work with companies and organizations around the globe to really think about how we can help our companies be able to be more efficient, build revenue, be able to grow at scale. And then individuals, one-on-one, how can we think about not just being at the table, but being ahead of the conversation when it comes to AI and how to be able to really position yourself to not just be competitive, but to really be positioned for great roles within our marketplace. So excited for the conversation. I'm passionate about the topic and looking forward to being as helpful as I can be.
All right, so know what? I see you're not going to pat yourself on the back, but I know you're a TEDx speaker. I watched your TEDx. It is amazing. One sentence can change your life. Is that where I'm at?
That's
Right? But look, I was thinking about it in the context of this conversation we're getting ready to have, AI activated, but you spoke about your situation. Listen, if anyone hasn't seen Stephanie's TEDx, I recommend it. Just Google StephShabazz TEDx. You'll see it. It's TEDx U Street Women, right? Am I right there? Yeah, and it's amazing. But you spoke about standing up, right? And like kind of getting started. Like that's where I kind of saw that piece of the conversation. And I think in AI, and speaking about AI activated, sometimes it's about getting up and standing up. So speaking of stand up, Stephanie, I have to tell you first, we have one of the most robust conversational audiences you can find in a virtual setting. So all our people online are in the chat. Please drop where you're from. Tell us what's going on, your relationship to Steph or your relationship to the National Urban League, and let us know what affiliate you're from. We're excited to have you here, but we're going to get into this conversation. So Steph, I saw the TEDx, like speaking about just getting up and getting started, and we're going to talk about AI activated. What does that mean to you?
Absolutely. So one, the conversation that I shared about in my TEDx was really around that opportunities don't happen to us, they happen for us. And I don't believe it's a mistake, Kenneth, that we're seeing change and transformation, maybe having direct impact, seeing layoffs happen around us. And simultaneously, we're seeing opportunities open up, especially within the AI space. According to the World National Report, we have over 150,000 brand new jobs that are AI focused that were created in the US alone just within the last year. And so the way that I think all of us have the opportunity to approach this is to think about, instead of thinking about AI overwhelm, which for me, when I first initially started this process, it was overwhelming, right? What does it mean? What is generative AI? What's machine learning? And then thinking about, in that overwhelm, how can we be able to transition into seeing this as an AI opportunity? For every single one of us, in the jobs that we do or in the roles that we have, there's a way for us to think about efficiency. There's a way for us to be able to think about how we can be able to add value, how we can be able to upskill, how we can be able to lead our teams better. And AI can be there to help enhance that process and to be able to help us move quicker in that piece. So that's really where I see the tie-in coming in, just from that perspective of changing our mindset first. How can we lean in and see this as an opportunity to not only position ourselves in a way that we can stay competitive, but bring others along in the process, right? Bring others along in the conversation. So really excited to kind of dig deep and talk a little bit about how to do that practically. I like to say we win when we choose to ground ourselves in learning, leveraging, and letting go of how we used to do things, letting go of what used to be the way that we get things accomplished, and really kind of leaning into how we can move the process forward now.
And moving the process forward now is really an important thing. And I noticed that during the conversation at the National Urban League that we had on AI, the thought process was that individuals, if they're looking to gain some clarity, they may need to start piecing just parts of the AI tools and resources together instead of trying to be a subject matter expert in all. See what works for you, explore it, do some things with it, and find out kind of, how you can use it to get better at what it is that you do or want to do. So let's talk about clarity. Next slide, please.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So cloudy with a chance of clarity. tell me what that's all about in the world of Stephanie Shabazz.
Absolutely. So I am absolutely obsessed with my nieces and nephews, and we've been reading this book, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, meaning that there's some things that may be unexpected in the forecast, things that may be
Okay.
unexpected in the weather coming up. And it's the same thing with our career and AI landscape, where it seems like literally maybe a few months ago, the big focus was prompt engineering. There were even some roles that showed up on LinkedIn as prompt engineers. And to be honest, that's evolved now. Now folks are feeling pretty comfortable with maybe putting prompts in. Maybe some of our listeners or viewers have put some prompts into ChatGPT or Copilot or whatever the resources that they have. And so now we're evolving from that insight to how can we be able to build efficiencies in our day-to-day roles. So when I mentioned cloudy, it's that it can seem overwhelming in all the information that we have. So I like to kind of think about this in stages. First stage, as you're driving clarity, is familiarize yourself with the terms. Just 5 minutes, take some time to just familiarize yourself with what is machine learning, what is generative AI, what does it have to do with how we think about storing data, what is responsible AI, how can we think about the table stakes of how we protect information, how we have inclusive perspectives around that whole process. And so just getting familiar with terms, it's a game changer as you walk through that process. The next phase from terminology is how to use it in my everyday life, not just within your job, but how can you be able to use it maybe to plan your travel itinerary, or how to be able to think about how to help gain efficiency from that perspective and bring that same mindset into your role. Now, I will say, depending on the job that you have, you may not be able to use all of the AI third-party apps because there may be some firewalls there, but I encourage having some conversations with your team. What I started to do was I looked at what my team and I were accomplishing within our quarterly sprints. And then we worked backwards. Were there a lot of meetings that could have just been summarized in a Copilot note? Or was there a way that we could summarize the information that we had from a previous report that we did and just bring that report and update it through the summary that we used with ChatGPT or AI. So I really encourage to think about what is it that you do in your body of work each day? How can you build efficiencies? Can it be done faster? How can you be able to increase your ability to lean in and complete some of those administrative level tasks a little bit more quickly? So that's kind of phase two. Phase three is I highly encourage each person on the call to be able to take some training or at least complete some of the free resourcing out there. So I'm going to put a couple of plugs in because you know me, Kenneth, I'm pretty practical. I want it to be very hands-on. So
Love
you
it.
have access to AI 900 series. That's through Microsoft. They make that available. Once you complete that certification, you're going to actually have, I just finished it, you're going to have a really strong sense of how companies, organizations are thinking about AI and moving into that AI strategist piece. That's what I want for everyone on this call. How can we be AI strategists? LinkedIn Learning also has a full AI series that I encourage folks to be able to lean into. Some of them are going to have specific areas around AI for Excel or AI as a business leader or AI as an entrepreneur. I've walked through that series and I find it really helpful just to wrap your arms around how to lean in and how to be able to think about adding value from that next piece. So that third phase would be kind of that hands-on training piece that I highly encourage. So I'll pause there. I know we've got
Yeah.
some coming
Now,
in.
yeah, so I want to back up just a second here, and you're encouraging people to be a strategist. Drill down on that for me. What's that mean?
Absolutely. So strategists, I think about it in three ways. Number one, cost savings. In your role, each of us, whether you're an individual contributor, you're a team leader, director, wherever you are, we all have the opportunity to be able to save cost, whether it's roles that could have been done a little bit more efficiently, or maybe there's a lot of churn when it comes to emails and meetings. How can we summarize, or how can we be able to add that cost savings by saving folks time? So I like to be able to think about it that from a strategy piece and put those ideas out there. Share that with your team. See if there are ways that there are opportunities to be able to save and cost in that way. Oftentimes, when we think about cost savings, we think about, oh man, is that going to mean there's a job elimination? And here's the thing: if we are positioning ourselves strategically within the AI space, we are now moving into a place where we are almost recession proofing our jobs, because now we have made the intentional choice to activate our learning and to activate where we can move forward. So first piece is cost savings. Secondly, is going to be time efficiency. So whether it's project management or whether it's looking at sprints from a Scrum or Agile perspective, being able to use that opportunity within AI to do updates, to do checkpoints, to be able to connect with folks and to be able to see how that process is moving forward is going to save time, which ultimately will be able to help grow and make your team more efficient. And finally, revenue. Everything ties into how we can continue to grow and expand the business. And for us, if we are entrepreneurs, we're kind of really growing, exciting careers within an organization, how we can be able to add to the bottom line in a few various ways. Can we speak to, if we have an AI platform that's within our company, is it working? Take the initiative, get some feedback. I launched an internal survey just to see, is this helpful for my team members in my organization? And it was something that was so helpful for our product team because they were using it in real time. I'm a big advocate, and I know every single person on this call is as well. Don't wait for the opportunity. Create your opportunity. I became an AI adoption lead because I was asking questions and I wanted to know how we could be able to build the revenue around our AI input. So wanted to share those insights, hopefully that and kind of get some strategy around how to really be intentional around being an AI strategist.
Yeah, so you'll understand this because you've come from talent acquisition and recruitment. And so here at East Coast Executives, we're a small group. So AI, we looked at it as a way to increase bandwidth, right? And to have impact, not only for our clients, but in our business development efforts. So we're neophytes in the AI space, especially as compared to someone as skilled and talented as you. But what we've known or noticed is that there are some opportunities, but we create them. Let's talk a little bit about kind of the how just anyone that's looking to kind of upskill can create opportunities by leveraging AI in their workplace or, like you said, in their personal lives.
1000%. So I will use kind of a real-time example of what I'm currently working on and how that was able to be leveraged. So first piece is literally what I shared, is kind of getting myself familiarized with the phrasing, starting to feel a little bit more comfortable about the information that was available. And then I connected immediately with another colleague, another leader, to see what are we looking to accomplish in this upcoming year. So each person on the call, whether you're leading a team, whether you're walking through a process with an organization, there's a certain goal or fiscal year accomplishment that your team wants to accomplish. What are the OKRs? What are the objectives and key results that your team is looking to accomplish? Start there. Right? Because that's going to be a clear win, a clear value add. And if Cheryl and Sandy and Randy are able to lock in on that, it's going to add value immediately. So let's look at what the OKRs are. What have we agreed that we want to do? And then take some time to see how AI can be able to make those same goals more effective or efficient. So, for example, if you're looking to be able to implement a certain program and you want everyone on your team trained in this program, there's a way that AI can be able to summarize that training information to give an overview. It can also send out real time, if you have the survey bots, and I'll share a little bit of resources towards the end, that you can be able to get a real time sense of, hey, was the information helpful? Did it give you what you needed? How have you been implementing it? And then track it. One of my biggest pieces is that often we'll share these ideas, but what are the measurables? How are we putting table stakes and metrics behind it so that when you have a follow-up conversation with your leadership team, or when you're having follow-up conversation for promotion within your career, you can say, hey, 80% of our workforce has completed this training, and this has led in this percentage of efficiency, or this percentage of time that has been saved, or this has been our anecdotal feedback where people are giving us feedback and saying, hey, I find that it's so much easier to create this report, or so much easier to close this deal because I have this information made available. So taking what the OKRs are, taking what the goal is already for the company, and then thinking about how it can be made more efficient and effective, and put some metrics behind it. Make sure that it's clear the impact that you made, so that you're able to not only show up as the expert, but it's clear, hey, when Jeanette goes in and she adds this value, or she adds this perspective, look at the insight that she's able to provide, or look at the perspective that she's able to provide. That is an area that we need. Would you be open to considering this as a role, doing this permanently, or would you be open to training other folks on that? And that's the last piece I would add as well, is bring someone else along in the conversation, right? As you're learning and growing, don't wait to feel like you know all the answers. Bring folks along either on your team who may report to you directly, or may be involved in what's going on, so that they can also learn as well. That's a great way to also show up as a strategist.
You know, when I saw this slide originally, I was thinking something else. So I love where you went with that. But I started thinking about the opportunity to even talk about this, and I'd love you to chime in here about someone using an AI tool, right? So if it's Copilot or if it's GPT, whatever, right? So they're curious about it. So they go in and they start kind of doing some different things, and it's usually pretty basic initially, but they're really having a conversation with the interface because it's generative AI, right? So then it begins to collaborate with you to create better responses, right? And so you're bringing it along as well. Am I right on that?
You are, absolutely. And that's why it's so critical, Kenneth, for us to be in this conversation, because good data in, good data out. Non-inclusive data in, non-inclusive data out. So it's so vital that we are having these collaborative conversations, the prompts that we enter into, whether it's our personal GPT, our internal, corporate GPT or Copilot, or the public one, the information that we put in allows us to be able to provide insight. Also feedback, right? When you're putting into the prompt, let's say I did this recently where I put in a prompt that said, hey, I want to know how I can be able to find out where people are having questions around AI. Specifically, I want individuals who have a background, but it's not in technology, it's in a completely different field. And the information that came was very surface level. So I had to dig in deeper and say, no, I'm a product leader. Speak to me like I'm a product leader, and really kind of digging in to make sure that the collaboration, even with that AI interface, was one that was clear. You and I both know that there's always an opportunity to use these tools for good, as well as not for good. And so for
Yes.
us, it's critical that we are in the conversations holding companies, organizations, and those individuals accountable to, hey, this is not representative of the information we want to have coming out, or this is how I want to think about the data. So yes, collaboration is key to how we move and leverage AI as we move the process forward.
Man, it's the Urban League Jobs Network Digital Career Success Series with StephShabazz. We're talking AI, and we're talking it at a lot of different levels. You know, every time I've ever had a conversation with you, I've noticed, especially if we're on Zoom, like I look over and I see you taking notes. Like you really prepare for everything, and it's just a part of who you are. So let's talk about that. And we're beginning with progress in mind, right? So as you kind of go into explaining the way you look at progress in this particular, I guess, realm of thinking or realm of AI usage. Talk to us about this slide here.
1000%. So the phrase begin with progress in mind, it's a play off of Stephen Covey's begin with the end in mind, right? So Stephen Covey and the habits of highly effective leaders talked about begin with the end in mind, but AI is iterating every single day. Things are changing every single day. So how we measure growth is really through progress. What do I know today that I didn't know yesterday? How was I able to add value or be able to lean in within the AI space in a way that I wasn't yesterday? And that's how we're going to see collective growth, collective collaboration, and collective progress. So I want to break down a few things that I think about from a daily goals perspective. So daily goals, first piece would be, how can you be able to add a level of efficiency to your role or task today? And what is one phrase or information that you can learn today? So usually we like to think about things from a big, large, grand scheme. But when you think about it from a daily goal, if we think about, hey, I want to be able to learn a new phrase or be able to complete a training today, I'm blocking out time intentionally. I'm creating space, just like all of these wonderful folks have done for this opportunity today with the National Urban League. How can we make sure that we're setting that time aside? Because it's super easy to kind of push the ball down the field and to kind of set it aside for later. But really, when we make time blocks, we have a daily goal of completing a training, or we have a daily goal of having a conversation with someone who may have insight on how we leverage AI, it makes a huge impact. Monthly insight then goes into a little bit deeper, and I want to share a little bit about this. Monthly insight, Kenneth, I see as how we think about those specific soft skills. I had someone ask me recently, hey, should I be concerned that my job is going away? Should I be concerned if my job is getting replaced by AI? And my response is always this: the concern is not your job being replaced by AI. The concern is your job being replaced by someone who understands AI and has great soft skills. In this age of AI, our soft skills are going to be even more paramount, because how you lead a team, whether they're in person or remotely, how you engage, how you navigate within conversations is going to be incredibly clear. So I use my monthly insights to really metricize not just my AI upskilling, but those soft skills that we can sometimes tend to forget. But EQ, emotional intelligence, those things are going to be critical. So I wanted to just kind of share a few things with that. Specifically, these are the three areas that soft skills are going to be key. Number one, critical thinking and problem solving within the AI space. That doesn't mean you have to be the AI engineer implementing the software. It means, how are we having teams with maybe different perspectives, different objectives? This team has one revenue goal. This team is thinking about cost savings. How are we bringing them together as leaders and thinking about finding common ground, collaboration, and moving that process forward? That's going to be a key skill. Secondly is, how are we having AI collaboration across disciplines? I saw someone in the chat is in the healthcare background. That's excellent. How can we learn from Randy, who's in a nonprofit space, right? How are they leveraging AI, and what are some of the goodness and the learning that we can take from that space and bring into our own organizations and industries? And then being able to mark that. And then a quarterly progress is going to be checking, having specific goals, whether it's that training you wanted to complete, bringing others along. And then you'll see that with that consistent progress, your yearly mastery will make a huge impact. How you felt about the AI space, what you thought was important previously, is now able to be iterated and implemented as you move forward.
It's really interesting because you were speaking about empathy, you were speaking about soft skills, and I think people And this is just what I've learned from us kind of experimenting with prompts and things of that nature here. The soft skills, sometimes when we think of it, we think of our interaction with an actual human being. But because the end user to some of your work here will be a human being, you still need to leverage soft skills in talking to the technology and asking it to produce something that shows empathy or professionalism or caring, right? How's that? Am I right on this?
You are 1000% right. And I think those are the skills that are going to be absolutely critical in how we lead the conversation moving forward. Because if we are not leaning into those AI soft skills, if we're not leaning into how we're thinking about leading teams, especially as things become more efficient, especially as we are really saving time from those administrative skill pieces, then we're really not going to see that collaboration piece happen. We're going to hit a ceiling. And so those soft skills absolutely can't be ignored. It's what is happening now and what we're working through. Absolutely. Adebisi said in the chat, AI is not for the future. It's now 1000%. And how we lean in as leaders into those soft skills is going to be key.
Yeah, and just positioning it to kind of reflect how you want to be viewed when you use this technology and how it moves out for you, right? So I think it's just really important that people understand that it's designed to assist you, not to replace you. And I mean that even in kind of proofing your prompts and making sure, well, the results of the prompts, right? And making sure that it's something that's not only accurate, but reflects your own voice.
1000%. Absolutely. So, yes, being able to leverage that, being able to proof, as we all know, you don't want to just copy and paste what you find, but being able to make sure that it's nuanced and specific for the role that you're in. And then also really learning and empowering yourself around table stakes for responsible use of AI. So, how are we thinking about leveraging this responsibly? Is there a level of accessibility? Can anyone who has any type of learning process be able to access the information through AI? Are we making sure that how we think about data and privacy as it relates to AI is very clear across the board, right? Who has access to what information and at what time, and how long that information is held is going to be key and critical. And knowing that within your organization, and if that hasn't been helped or set up yet, is really important to know as well.
Speaking of things that are important to know, listen, I want you guys to know that there will be a Q&A segment with Stephanie. We'll probably do that in about 10 minutes. So please drop your questions in the Q&A. I know some of you may have put yours in the chat. Move them over to the Q&A so they'll kind of segment through, and I'll be able to volley those over to Stephanie, and we can have a robust discussion and hopefully answer some of your questions in that segment. So I just wanted to be mindful of that. Let's go to the next slide, Steph. AI activated.
Absolutely. So, as I was mentioning earlier, for AI activation, and I want you to think about it from the perspective of a strategist, where we are moving forward from just being introduced to AI. So now you're thinking strategically about how we can collaborate and optimize AI for our organizations. One is to begin. Get a sense of the landscape both within your organization, and for those organizations that haven't had AI implementation yet, be able to find a sister organization within your industry that's already moving the ball forward. Get a sense, put some time on their calendar, get a sense of what they're doing within their organization to be able to build efficiencies within AI, and then bring that insight to your organization. We do that all the time. That's part of the collaboration. Collaboration doesn't have to only be within your company or organization. There's a huge field that we can all be able to learn and lean in. We've got some great resources, great folks joining this call. So if there's someone who's been using it in your industry, I highly encourage you to ask the questions and to begin. Familiarize yourself with those terms, familiarize yourself with how that information is moving forward, and then challenge yourself to get better. Time block that training so you can be able to complete it and to be able to have that efficiency from that insight. If you're a leader, I really encourage you to help your team block out time so that you can use the training and work through the trainings together, and then ask questions. Hey, was this helpful? How did this be able to help you complete this task or another role or opportunity? So being able to bring others along in the learning journey. I would also say, as you think about competitive advantage when it comes to your career, I highly encourage you to think about AI within 4 specific areas. AI as it relates to sales and the modern workplace. So all of this is helpful until we think about how can we be able to generate revenue. Even if your team is not directed to sales, you need to understand how your company or organization overall is moving the ball forward when it comes to AI sales. How are we making money? How are we bringing the revenue in? And the more you understand that, the more value you're going to be able to bring to your organization. Secondly, is going to be thinking about AI from a product management standpoint. Now, you don't have to be a product manager, but you do want to understand how your company or organization is thinking about AI from start to finish. More than likely, there's some conversations already happening, and you want to be in those conversations to move that process forward as you're thinking about how AI deployment is building efficiencies for your workforce on a day to day basis. Fourth way that you can kind of give yourself a competitive advantage is do some digging around AI data and privacy. There's some great articles. I'll also share some insight around this on how we're thinking about responsible AI usage. What are some of those foundational things we should keep in mind around responsible AI? Who has access to data? Who should? Who shouldn't? How are we thinking inclusively from the beginning as it relates to use of AI, and how we're able to walk through that piece? And then finally, collaborating with other engineers who are building stuff moving forward, building products moving forward. And so I myself, I'm not an engineer. I don't have a coding background, but I just set up time with engineers. I like to hear their conversations. What are they building? Where are they seeing the efficiencies and what is needed? And that way we can be able to build together, because that way, as they're getting insight, I'm happy to test it out, be able to try it out, be able to see it and give real-time feedback. That is how I find we can create opportunity and create space to be able to move the process forward and then ultimately build for the long term. The whole idea is that just like last year, there were 150,000 brand new jobs that were created that didn't exist before that have an AI focus. We're going to see more of those. And I want each and every one of us to be well positioned to not only take those jobs, but to create more opportunity as we move the process forward.
So speaking about creating opportunity and moving the process forward, I know you had mentioned that there are some resources out there that you'd like to share with our audience just to kind of keep them up to speed and kind of in the game, we'll say, uh, for long-term success in AI.
Absolutely. So I'm going to answer Elise's question. I see that for the trainings. And then I'm going to talk about a few resources that I like to use that kind of help
Yes.
build your AI efficiency. So yes, Elise, there are free AI trainings available. If you go to LinkedIn Learning, if you do have a LinkedIn account, you can be able to see their AI Basics Learning Path. The AI Basics Learning Path is going to help you with insights on efficient prompt building, how to be able to leverage AI in your day-to-day workplace, as a business leader, how to leverage your AI. And so if you go through that series, it's going to give you a pretty good foundational sense of how to navigate it on a daily basis. Microsoft also offers AI 900 certification training. That does take a little bit more time, but you can be able to complete the training. And then there is a small fee to take the actual exam. And then you have an AI 900 certification. What that is going to do is kind of cover what I discussed a little earlier, how you think about AI, how companies are building efficiencies, how we can be able to optimize our organizations and our careers with an AI perspective, and just where the AI field is going. So I highly recommend that you at least leverage those two as it relates to training, because those are nominal fees. Absolutely, Elise. Now, when it comes to AI tools, I wanted to share a few that I really enjoy using. I really encourage you to try these out. They all have free trials, so I just encourage you to be able to leverage that. So I broke it down based on this. First, AI for skill development, as I mentioned, was the LinkedIn Learning. You also have a few on Coursera. Coursera does have a fee, but I do encourage you to at least take a look, and you are going to want to put in AI fundamentals or AI for business in order to be able to see the skills come up for that. Now, when it comes to personal branding and networking and leveraging AI, here are a few resources I want you to use. Copy AI, what that does is it allows you to be able to take some of your writings, maybe it's on social media or you have a blog or some emails, and it will help to create future captions using your voice and your tone. And so one of the things that will help build efficiency that you need to post frequently or send emails to your team, if you leverage Copy AI, it will allow you to be able to walk through, put in some of your previous writings, and then it will generate additional writing or additional topics that you can leverage and be able to have all of these emails written or information written without necessarily needing to write it by hand. I do encourage you to be able to tweak it just so that it sounds personal and continue to teach it. It is an ongoing learning platform, and so it'll kind of adjust based on your feedback. The other update is Jasper. I like to be able to use Jasper whenever I'm doing engaging PowerPoints or I want to be able to create information. It'll be able to pull both graphics as well as the data that you add to be able to update that information as well. So I use that for any presentations or decks moving forward. So you're not having to try to copy and paste or move it through. Canva also has a built-in AI system if you want something that's a little bit more visually appealing. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what to use when it comes to product management and time efficiency. Two that I want to recommend. One is Trello. Trello is an AI-based process where you can be able to not only manage projects, but give real-time feedback on where you want your team to be and what you would like them to accomplish within the project management space. So if they're working on a project, they can be able to add efficiency and be able to add that through Trello. And then the second piece is Otter AI. Otter AI actually is a plugin right for Zoom, or you're able to use it for your meetings as well if you have Teams, Google Meet. What it does is it provides real-time notes, overviews, and summaries for your meetings. It also can send a summary email after it's completed so that you can be able to take all the information that was shared in your meeting and then be able to send it out for those who either were there or were not able to attend the meeting as well. So wanted to make that available for you also. Last piece that I wanted to share as well is that as you're looking at AI in career development and upskilling, Teal is a great resource that will help to update your resume. What I do tell folks is leverage Teal just as that, a tool to be able to update or upskill your resume if you need to do so. Just make sure that once you're done, you kind of take a look at it, always review, make sure that it sounds genuine to you. But I do recommend that you use that because it's actually going to help really focus your resume if there's a role that you're looking for or a role that you're applying to. So hopefully that was helpful. Happy to be able to share more resources, but those are some that I use as a consistent go-to.
Man, that was a ton of resources. Listen, I know people are wondering and they probably want you to repeat them, but listen, this and every episode of the Urban League Jobs Network Digital Career Success Series can be found on the Urban League Jobs Network YouTube channel. So this episode will probably show up later on in the week. You can revisit, rewatch. Stephanie is dropping jewels and gems. So you'll be able to catch all of that information again there. And I'm sure I've seen the team dropping some information into the actual chat. So Stephanie, you got me kind of excited. So I'm just going to share here that yesterday was the business anniversary of East Coast Executives, my firm. So what I want to do, you were talking about resources. We have access to the AI Fundamentals course on Coursera through the Google Learning Certificate Program. Anybody that connects, anybody that follows you and follows the Digital Career Success Series on LinkedIn and connects with me, sends me an invite, I'll enroll them in that at no cost. So they can get the certifications for AI Fundamentals at no cost. That's on East Coast Executives. We're celebrating, and we're celebrating you and hoping that you guys really want to jump in and leverage some of these resources. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. You got me excited now.
Congratulations, team. Well, one, congratulations to you, Kenneth, on your business anniversary.
Thank you.
It's huge. And huge thank you. That's wonderful. Just being able to move the process forward. That's awesome.
Yeah. So 3 things. Connect with Stephanie. Well, follow Stephanie. Follow the Digital Career Success Series, both on LinkedIn. And also send me an invite so we can get that to you. All right, look, we're going to jump into a Q&A segment. This is early for us to go to Q&A, but I just know that you're going to give some amazing answers, and we probably need a little time to deal with that, right? So let's talk about this on some of the things that kind of have came to me through this process. So where are the new opportunities or rising roles? Like, as you look at it, it's interesting. Your perspective is going to be really interesting because you come from talent acquisition. You're currently in AI adoption. So I don't know if there's anyone better to talk to about how we can leverage these opportunities for the jobs and careers of the future. So let's just talk a little bit about that.
1000%. So yes, write this down, save this. This is where you're going to see the opportunities continue to grow within the next 3 to 5 years, starting now. So I'm going to start with what doesn't require any technical background all the way to what requires some technical background. So the areas you're going to see that don't require any technical background, you're going to see more opportunities in AI sales and modern work specialization. So what that looks like is it's going to be individuals who are talking to companies and organizations who want to be able to either implement a certain AI program, or they want to be able to have an AI efficiency added to their team, but they're not exactly sure what they need or when they need it. So what you can be able to do is, if you have a background in program management, if you have a background in project management, that is ideal skill set for someone who's a modern work specialist or an AI modern work specialist. Those are the titles that you're going to be seeing on LinkedIn. You specifically want to curate your resume to reflect how you have been able to help teams be able to adopt new policies or adopt new programs. That's going to make you stand out from a competitive standpoint if you're looking at modern work specialization. If you're targeting a certain product that you're going to be selling, or a certain product that you're going to be help training on, just take some time to learn a little bit about that product, so that when you're speaking to that company or organization, you can be able to make sure that you have a certain level of knowledge. You won't have to be an expert yet. Most teams will train you on it, but you do want to have a sense of saying, hey, I have a personal curiosity around this area, personal curiosity around this piece. Also, if you have any background in grant writing, proposal writing, then the other area that's going to be opening up is AI efficiencies for proposal or grant writing. So what that looks like is, how are we leveraging the AI resources that we have? There's currently AI bots that are able to walk through this to help just companies and organizations complete their proposals and grants quicker. But guess who they need? They need folks who have grant writing and proposal experience to review what the AI bot is doing. Is it correct? Is this information specific? If it's for government contracts, are they adding that information and that insight? So if you have a background in grant writing or proposal writing, by you being able to position yourself as an AI proposal writer or an AI grant writer, what you're able to do is come in and bring that expertise. And now you're able to review how that AI platform is used to be able to add grants. So those are some of the opportunities that are opening up, and you don't even need a technical background for that. If you do have maybe a background as a Scrum project manager, you have your PMP, maybe you have some understanding around product management, then I do encourage you to think about AI product management or AI business program manager roles. Those have been growing exponentially, and we are actively seeing those on the market. And really, the purpose of this person is almost like an air traffic conductor, where they're helping to conduct the finance team, the engineering team, the data team, and making sure that a certain product is being deployed within a certain sprint or timeline. And you don't have to have a technical background for this. You can be able, if you have a program management background, you have insight on how to deploy, how to be able to leverage teams, how to keep an eye on the budget. All of those are skill sets that are going to be helpful. If you've got some operations in your back pocket, that helps as well. But you're going to be looking for titles like AI product management or AI program manager or business program manager from that standpoint. And then if you do have a technical background, you don't have to be necessarily fully hands-on coding, but you've got some familiarity around Python or C#, then you can be able to look at the machine learning engineer or the AI solutions architect roles. Those are where we're going to be seeing additional growth. You'll see quite a few of those online right now. An AI solutions architect is someone who has enough insight or perspective around how we are troubleshooting or adding value from an engineering standpoint. And they're also able to help make sure that the engineering team is resourced from a work planning standpoint. Are they able to, when are we planning to have these products launch? And are they working? They're working with clients one-on-one to get a sense of, is this helpful? Is this really leaning us forward and getting the information that we need from that standpoint? So definitely look for those titles, as well as machine learning engineers or AI adoption engineers. Those are going to be the folks hands-on, rolling their sleeves up as it relates to those opportunities. And they'll be kind of taking care of the coding on the front end or the back end.
Man, listen, okay. I'm going to jump not out of the Q&A, but this is a real question. This is a real question for you. All right. So understanding that you came from talent acquisition, were you working tech roles? Because I'm listening to you speak this tech talk fluently.
Yes.
And I'm just wondering, so tell us a little bit about your pivot.
Yes. So a little bit about my pivot. My whole perspective, Kenneth, is that I'm gonna. If someone knows it, I'm gonna learn it, which is
Okay.
why I really enjoy conversations like this. So no, my background isn't in tech. I have done tech hiring and hired within tech organizations, but once I started to see where the opportunities were, I went and got training. I did the same thing that I'm encouraging folks to do. I went and got certifications, and that's what helped me to be able to gain more insight around how the information is being shared and where the conversation is. And so what I'm sharing is what I've gone and done, which is got the certifications. I went and asked people, asked for their time, went on virtual coffees to learn about where the opportunity becomes available. Because while my skill set may not be in coding, it is in being able to bring different groups together and being able to solution and move the process forward. So yes, everything that I'm sharing today, I have walked through, done it myself, have seen it change and transform the opportunities that I have available. And now I want to be able to create as much opportunity as I can for others. That's my jam. That's my passion. That's what I love to do, is being able to create more space for as many people as possible.
Well, we appreciate it. And I think that that system or process applies across the board. It doesn't have to be a pivot into tech. It can be a pivot anywhere in your career. I think that's the blueprint to being successful and making a career change and or pivot. All right, so let's talk about this. You know, this is the Digital Career Success Series, Urban League Jobs Network. There are some leaders on the platform today and they're asking questions. They want to know how they can use AI to optimize the production of their personal teams. Can you talk a little bit about the way maybe you've leveraged it with your team, or just general thoughts on how someone can really make their presence felt, make their team better by leveraging AI?
1000%. So, one, I love that leaders are asking this question. This is really going to be key for anyone leading a company or organization. So, my first encouragement is to get boots on the ground feedback of where your team is perhaps needing some opportunity for efficiencies. So, meet with your team members. Get a sense as you're having your one-on-ones, your team meetings. Where's the churn? Where are they losing time? Where are things may be frustrating within this system? And then narrow it down to one or two areas that we can be able to make progress in. So, for example, we were noticing that a lot of time was being spent on our teams in meetings where it wasn't necessarily moving the ball forward, it was just providing updates. So, we implemented a co pilot in our team that could provide daily updates. I just put in information that I want my team to know. It pops up as soon as they log in, so they could see updates real time. They're also able to provide insight from that perspective. And what that did is it helped us not to have quite as many meetings, but we were still kept up to date on where efficiencies were. So I'm a big advocate of find out start with where your team is having maybe some pain points, see where those challenges are, and then you can be able to add an AI implementation right into where that is. I find that also gives your team some buy-in, right? So that they're not receiving it as, hey, this is just one other training for you to take, but this is an opportunity for you to be able to add efficiency within your team. Second piece is going to be, what is it that your team is looking to accomplish within this fiscal year? So you have, big, hairy, audacious goals. What is that one thing that if we're able to move the needle, maybe it's acquiring new clients, maybe it's making sure that we're serving the clients that we have with greater efficiency or effectiveness. There are some ways that you can add AI into that process. So for example, does every single one of your clients get the same insight and perspective and presentation as the other one, right? So is there a consistency in how your clients are being connected with, how they're being followed up, how they're being able to get updates? If there's any feedback that they have, can they reach you and your team pretty quickly? Those are all ways that you can be able to add AI efficiencies right into that process. From an internal standpoint, one of the biggest ways AI can add value today, I encourage you to do this, is leverage real-time feedback through an AI generative software. So it could be that you leverage that. I'm using Trello. You can be able to use Otter AI. But what that does is if you send a survey today with your team to see what their curiosity is around AI, then you can be able to then back into where can we be able to add value? Where can we be able to lean in and add insight from this perspective based on where they are right now? And I was working with a couple of companies on their trainings. Part of the feedback was, Stephanie, this felt overwhelming. My teams are already doing a lot on their plate. They already have a lot going on. And so we worked really hard as our company to kind of close the gap and to be able to shorten the length of time from when they were seeing AI implemented in their jobs to being actually helpful in what they did on a day-to-day basis. So once we got that feedback and were able to add that, it made a huge impact and gained a lot of buy-in for the leaders that we were partnering with.
Yeah, extremely important to have buy-in from, I guess, from all levels of the organization, leaders and people that are actually hands-on and working with the tools and resources. That I think the the playing field is primed for that.
Yep.
I do believe that once someone jumps in and starts seeing the the power of the tool, they'll continue to come back and try to use it and find ways to leverage it to advance their career and to make things easier for them. So I do believe what you said earlier. It's not about AI taking your job, but it's about a person that knows how to leverage it taking your job, right? So let's talk about this. What should people keep in mind as they expand their AI knowledge?
1000%. So, number one, to whom much is given, much is required. Bring someone else along in the journey. Bring someone else with you. Don't wait to be the expert. Don't wait to feel like you have all the information, whether it's your team, whether it's someone else that you know. I believe that we go further together. And so, how you bring someone along in the process, it's going to help you gain the information and make sure that that's solid, but also bringing someone else along in the journey is key and critical. Second piece is this: taking the time out, blocking out the time to complete your trainings or to be able to upskill is going to go from being a recommendation to a strong suggestion to really making sure that that takes place. So really encourage you to block out that time, make that time, make it a priority for you as you think about that process so that you can be able to move the process forward from there. Third piece is this: think about, as I mentioned earlier, what are the cost efficiencies or revenue generating or efficient ways that you can be able to leverage AI? If you can show how you add value in real time for your team or real time for your organization, that is going to create opportunities for you. That's going to create jobs. You're like, oh, I remember when Kenneth mentioned this. So I remember when Jeanette mentioned this, and it's going to be able to create opportunities for you because a lot of this, as I mentioned earlier, we don't necessarily know all of the roles that are going to show up next year, but we know that the people who are in the conversation are going to be the ones well positioned to take care of the questions that are becoming provided. And do it afraid, do it scared, do it uncertain, do it hesitant, do it when you know that you need more information, because that's the best way to stay a learner. It's the best way to be able to make sure that you're leveraging the information from those around you.
Listen, I'm a huge proponent. I'm waving the flag for AI. And it's crazy, not only in the space that we operate in, but just across the board. I wanted to kind of keep some of the things we were using a secret, but I just was like, you know what, we're just going to use it better than everyone. So we're just going to kind of get up to speed faster than everyone else. This is your time to jump in and explore. This is a moving train. So it's going to be imperative that you jump on right now. And don't let this get behind us. As Stephanie had mentioned, it's really important to have diverse voices and inclusive voices in the conversation, behind the scenes, and in every part of this new revolution, which is the tech revolution. Steph, any closing remarks for the audience?
Yes. So we want to make sure, one, that everyone got their questions answered. But the final piece that I would say is this: that we are such a resilient and excellent people. Anything that we do, we just add value to. We bring our creativity. It just gets better. So I want to encourage everyone, as you kind of think about the next steps that you have, or maybe go into your next meeting at work, or maybe handle the next piece, is how can I be able to bring my own genius and my own perspective into the AI space? We are not just ones who want to be at the table, but we want to be leading the conversation and being able to move AI forward. So grateful for this opportunity. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions. Always happy to help. This is my personal mission and my personal mantra, to make sure that every single person that I encounter is able to have the opportunities that are available, that are here now, so that we are leading the question and the opportunity. I was talking to someone recently, and I said previously, right, if you look at the leaders within the tech space, it's because they had access to a personal computer in their home. A lot of us didn't. So now we have the opportunity to be a part of this next wave of change, and making sure that as many of us as possible are in the AI conversation, leading the dialogue, and making sure that we're moving forward in that way. So thank you all so much for this opportunity. I hope it was helpful. I hope it got you excited about the work that we're doing within the AI space and encouraging you and cheering you on.
Listen, we want to thank you. You came through. It's AI in the workplace. What's at stake? It's StephShabazz, AI adoption lead, Global Vista. I knew you were going to be amazing. I knew this was a layup. I said she's the right person for this conversation. I want to thank you for joining us on behalf of myself and everybody here at the National Urban League. Right? Listen, if you want to stay connected to Stephanie, please do not hesitate to lock in and connect with her. I know you can connect with her. I think we have a slide with her information on it, but you can connect on LinkedIn. She's active there. She has a website, StephShabazz.com. Instagram, you can catch her on Instagram. I catch her over there. I always love her information. And I think you're going to find some amazing things out about her, and just understand that this isn't just her visit to the Digital Career Success Series. She lives this life. She walks the walk. And that's what it's all about. And if you get the opportunity, I don't know if they dropped it in the chat, please check out her Tedex. One sentence can change your life. It's DC. It's Tedex. U Street Women, if I believe correctly. It is amazing. Steph, I watched it this morning for the third time. You hear me? The third time. So I love it. No, but we're going to share that on the TEDx Harlem feed. If you have a clip, share a clip with me so I can push that over there. I want people to see that. But it's StephShabazz. So as I say thank you to people, I need to thank the audience, Steph.
Yes.
I need to thank everybody that tuned in to join us. We're going to do it again next week. So we can go to that slide for next week. You know how to get in touch with me. I'm here every week, but it's East Coast Executives. It's KL Johnson Info on LinkedIn and Instagram, KL Johnson Info as well. Let's go to the next slide and talk to them about what's happening next week. You can join us for the Art of Entrepreneurship. It's September 4th. Actually, no, that'll be September 18th, right? Work like an entrepreneur to foster innovation, resilience, and a proactive work approach. That's really what we're talking about next week, Steph. So look, the tools that people received from you today will help them when they implement the things that we'll talk about next week, the Art of Entrepreneurship. I'd like to thank you, StephShabazz, for joining us. I'd like to thank our audience on behalf of the National Urban League Jobs Network team, Wanda Jackson, Corey O'Donnell behind the scenes, making this all look right for us. It's been an amazing run. This is one of my favorite shows. I thank you so very much for joining us. But I also thank our audience. We have one of the best audiences in the world, in the virtual space. Please do not hesitate to visit the Urban League Jobs Network YouTube channel for this and more information about what's happening at the National Urban League. There was someone in the chat, Steph, from Cleveland that asked something about future items. Look, please connect them with myself, connect them with Stephanie. I know the National Urban League will be in Cleveland for the national conference next year. I don't know, maybe there's some synergy. Maybe some of your people will come out to the conference. Maybe we'll be able to connect there as well. So connection is what we do here. And I want to thank everybody for joining us. I'm Kenneth L. Johnson. Thank you. Take care. We'll see you on the 18th.